Fire away.
Looks like we are all ready. If we're not, we will be. So I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District at 6 p.m. October 10th. And start with a roll call. Karen Morgan, President. Here, President. I'm reading the.
President.
Yeah, President. I guess so.
Dave McMahon, just President.
Roger Wendell, President. Todd Hicks, President.
Dave Garner, I have no presence for any of them. So.
Very good. We have a quorum. We have a somewhat stupid quorum in my case, but thank you very much. Do we have any directors' matters disclosures today? All right, seeing none, moving on to approval, addition, deletions of the agenda. Any changes from anybody?
Did you give me a second just to pull up the agenda?
Yes.
Make sure I know what I'm doing here before I say something.
I would say I was excited to see that there were so many minutes on here.
Not probably not.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming through. Is that after the talk? No. Maybe. Yeah.
Sorry for the delay for this. I think I can deal with everything in context of the existing things. So I'm okay.
All right, very good. That brings us to public comment. Per our policy and past motions, we have 5 minutes per person for public comment. I will start with a raised hand from Ludmilla on screen. If you could unmute yourself.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, oh, there, everybody's smiling for me. I love it. I love it. Hey, Dylan, you dressed up for us today. Look at suit and tie. Where's your suit at? Where's your suit coat?
I got my jacket right here.
Oh, good.
I'm fully dressed.
Well, there you. That's important. You know that, right? Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good. No one asked me, so I'm going to tell you how I'm doing tonight. I'm tired. I watched the darn city council meeting. What a joke. But otherwise, I'm doing okay. Staying busy, out of trouble. All right, so I have a few comments tonight, so bear with me and keep smiling, right? That's the important part. The district manager search, how's that going? At the last special meeting, there was discussion about a possible candidate presently working for Green Mountain Water. I always believe, if possible, let's promote from within first, then search outside. So will the candidate please step forward? All right, Mr. Yost, I just wanted to say, I think you misunderstood me regarding my remarks on the house or contract engineer. I know you were hired as engineer for Green Mountain Water. I was referring to the previous district manager search when Mr. Tyus was hired. It was understood he would utilize his engineering background. At that time, there was discussion to hire either a part-time staff engineer or a contract engineer. My late husband worked at the Denver Water for 35 years, so engineers are important, as you well know, since you are one, right? All right, there's one real sticky point with me, and you heard it before. Every second, every minute, every day, there's a liability problem hanging over Green Mountain and that darn ravine, right? Just curious, has the trestle, the barriers, or the gates been ordered? Their estimated time of delivery, and where does Green Mountain stand, or has Green Mountain given up? And then, always love to hear updates on legal procedures. Oh boy. And then, here's a good one. All right. This one really got to me. Holy moly, $1,900 in director's fees. Gee, you might be able to fill up a gas tank going to the meetings, huh? All right, guys, I'm signing off for now. Keep smiling. Have a good one.
Thank you, Ludmilla.
Thank you very much. Anybody else online would like to raise their hand? Right.
Nothing from Terry?
Don't see anything there. Anyone in the
We
room
spent
like
the
to
day
speak?
with Terry today. He's a director of Fossil Ridge.
Oh, I'm good.
All right, we're gonna move to people in the room. Ms. Poston.
So, she mentioned the city council meeting, and I was online at the city. I watched the city council meeting last night, and it got to be kind of interesting. And one of the things that they brought forth was an ordinance, and the ordinance was about paying the first developer, and somebody else comes on the second development. And I'm sitting here going, I'm not quite understanding this. And then Rich referred to the lift station occasionally with Green Mountain, and I couldn't figure out whether when the developer develops this thing and when it becomes public. You know, I think the developer puts the sewers in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the sewers are managed by you, right? So there's some kind of transfer between the developer and public, right? So I'm trying to figure out, I know what happened with this land at 4th and Union. That's the 59 acres that was purchased last year. About this time, it was put on sale. They had a contract, the contract fell through, and then it was purchased by another developer on April, I believe 7th of last year. And they've been trying to get water from you all, and I think they've been trying to get sewer. And the I do know that the federal people, because I've been doing FOIAs with the federal people, and I talk to Washington, D.C. about once every 3 weeks, and they give me updates and emails and such. And we're making progress on my FOIA. It's only been a year. And they said that they did not allow the developer to become a connector with their sewer system. So I do believe that now this developer has to come out to St. Anthony's or someplace like that to bring pipes in. It's not federal sewer system. I have theories on why the GSA did that, but I'm not going to put them on record right now. I can tell you the last emails I got, they were like, we've sent an attorney, go talk to Region 8 director. We have made some progress, and you don't need to contact the EPA. The EPA can't tell you anything. You don't need to contact the EPA. Very interesting messages I was getting from Washington, D.C. about not contacting the EPA.
Who in Washington was saying that?
The GSA
GSA.
attorneys, I can give you a name if you want.
Okay.
So I am interested in what's going to happen with this lift station, because it's sewer, right? That they may have to put in there, and then does it become your property at some point? And can developers that come onto this land later hit somebody up for the reimbursement, and will they be hitting you up for the reimbursement? That is what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not a sewer person. I'm not an engineering person. I'm actually a person. I'm actually a medical technologist and a microbiologist. And the thing that I have about this land is I do not believe that it is fit for putting socially, economically challenged children on. That's what I believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Anybody else public comment? Okay, and circle back to online. I just still don't see any more hands. So
Because I got something else to do. And I'm thinking because it came up last night. It was weird. That was the weirdest thing I've ever lived through. Is that weird?
It's strange.
thanks for coming. Thank you, everyone. We'll close public comment. Move on to approval of a lot of minutes. Does our secretary have anything to say or a motion to make about the minutes
I move that we approve them.
in total?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, copy that I made,
as revised.
as revised.
I will second that motion.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Just a point I'd like to make, I think once yesterday and 3 times today, there was reference made in court to minutes that we've never approved. Or referenced.
Was this from in the previous lawsuit or currently?
Current.
There were draft minutes discussed during the litigation as exhibits.
Okay.
It does not serve us well to have draft minutes read into the court record. Because that's all the judge ever hears. He doesn't hear what we think we actually said as opposed to a draft. We should never put ourselves in this position again. Dylan dealt with it very well, but that's really a foul for letting it go this long. And it emphasizes the importance of that.
Are we not looking for another provider?
That's, yeah.
Okay.
So that's another motion discussion later on, but to your point, do you have a list of what those exhibits were? And maybe we can just have somebody check on those. I would bet they just had an unsigned copy.
Yeah,
because we didn't publish the signatures, but they were fine minutes.
There are signed minutes existing for all of the minutes that were discussed. Part of the issue is that Fossil Ridge and Solterra were using documents that we provided to them as a result of oral requests that we received in June.
Okay.
So their documents, they didn't update things after June.
Okay.
Specifically the June 13th and June 20th meeting minutes.
Of this year. Okay.
And in one of those meetings, there were representatives of Fossil Ridge here. When they're testifying from their recollection as opposed to meeting minutes. I'd much rather have us on the record. The court is having meeting minutes to which we've all agreed. Some of those statements, Dave may talk for 5 minutes about the importance of some point, and it gets reduced to 7 or 8 words in the minutes, and that's and it forces us to go look at the video and figure out what we actually did. It's just time now to say it. Okay? So that's all.
Thank you. Good point. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous approval. Thank you very much. On to financial matters.
So I reviewed the operating expenses, capital expenditures, the unaudited financial statements, investment report. And I did not review the draft budget, but I would like to make a motion to accept the September, October operating expense and the financial unaudited financial reports.
Second.
Director Hooks makes the motion, Director Garnett seconds. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval, motion passes. Thank you much. When we have a draft budget to discuss. Doug, can we ask you to drag a chair up? Would you like to go through it?
I was just going to do the highlights.
Okay.
Basically go through the memorandum that I wrote. And see if you guys had any questions, comments, other scenarios you wanted to see.
Okay.
So I will begin. So first thing was the Denver Water presented to their board the proposed increase to the master meter districts. The volumetric rate would be an increase of 4.48%, which would translate to 21 cents per 1,000 gallons. The service fee increase would be 10.36%, which would translate to $1,190.40 per month increase to what we're currently paying. Sewer treatment from Metro Water Recovery, our overall increase, which would include their rate increase as well as adjustments to flows and audits of prior years, is 7.68%. That would increase, the rate required to cover those expenses would be 2.9% increase to our rates. For employee costs, overall, we show a 5.62% increase. Included in that would be 3% cost of living increase, 3.5% increase for medical premiums, and a 4.7% increase for dental premiums. Also included in that would be the adjustment to the district manager salary range, which was approved later or earlier this year in the search for a district manager.
Can I ask about that? Sorry, there was a discrepancy. I didn't think to check. There's a discrepancy on the posting. We had approved to post an increased salary range for the district manager. Do you remember what?
I believe it went.
But it's not that.
I thought it was 120 to 160.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, no, when we had the discussion,
Right.
what we approved was 140 to
140 to 180,
180.
and then there was a secondary discussion.
Oh, okay.
Which Todd just mentioned. But I think in the budget, we did the second range. So that would be the 130 to 160.
Okay.
Is what I put in there.
You did the
I did the max range.
160.
Right. Do we need to change that?
No.
Okay. And then also included that 5.62 overall increase would be the 4% increase that was approved during the June 20th special meeting. So that would be show the difference between 2023 beginning year to 2024 budget. Other increases that we saw in fixed expenses, the most significant one would be legal and contract labor. Involved in the contract labor would be operational cybersecurity. That's ongoing studies going from this year, also going on next year to stay in compliance. That would result in a proposed increase of 6.04% to the service fee, which would be $1 per month for SFRE. For a residential customer, we bill 2 months, so the overall impact would be $2 per billing. Just for reference, Denver Water, we propose their residential service fee to be $18.40 a month, where ours per month would be $17.55. For capital reserves on what was presented, we didn't do any increase to the rate. It does show a slight decrease to the overall income due to changes in consumption that we're projecting for next year. Obviously, this year is a very low year for consumption, but we do average out, but still results in a decrease. As far as capital expenditures, for fuel equipment, or we aren't proposing anything for fuel equipment and costs other than contingencies. I would consider reasonable just for emergency type situations if we need something for either one of those categories. We are proposing 3 replacement pickup trucks and a transit van for meter reading. I think the main reason for the meter reading, switching from a pickup truck to a transit van is to keep all the equipment dry, especially all the endpoints. Well, all the endpoints are stored in boxes, and boxes deteriorate. You don't want your equipment being messed up, and there'll be more organizing bins and shelving versus in the back of a pickup truck. Carryover projects. Technically, the cell endpoint project, it's carryover. However, that would be the contracted services to expedite the replacement project. So that all the equipment will be purchased by the end of this year. So that won't be a significant cost. It's basically accounting for that contract that we're getting into effect, right, which is moving forward. We did just get that signed, so we'll have a kickoff meeting here soon. Get moving on that. Other carryovers would be the ravine project, whichever way we're going to go with that. Unknown at this point, so we just carried over the amount that we had in there for last year, which after discussions with staff and Mike seemed reasonable. Tamara's Cliff Station would be carryover as well. And the new projects would be the 2024 water improvements that The board did give a go ahead to start getting designed, so we can get that bid at the beginning of next year. So overall, the effect on the water, sewer rates, and service fee, the increases to that would be an average winter bill would increase $4.52 per month, which would be 3.56%. That's based on 9,000 gallons consumption per bill. Summertime, the consumption is based off 30,000 gallons for water. That increase would be $7.95 per bill, or 3.05%. So those are the overall highlights. So open up to any questions or other scenarios you see.
Thank you very much. That was a lot of work. Appreciate you pulling it together.
Great work. Made sense.
Thoughts? You have said you had not had a chance to review it. Anybody?
I just went over it very briefly, so I did not like get into minute details, but I should have that.
Anybody else? Thoughts?
I know typically we would schedule a special meeting just for the budget. Is that something we're planning on doing this year as well? Just to dig deeper, or?
Let me see.
Okay.
I do have thoughts. So, how much do we need to discuss? Overall, this is great. I see two big things still to discuss, and that was staff salaries. Everybody saw the 3% proposed raise, so that would be a 7% overall this year. I'm going to suggest we do not have the employer council survey. I looked up some other numbers. Employers Council roughly correlates with the Society of Human Resource Management. Last year, they had an average 3.8% increase. Employers Council did a 4.2. I'm thinking we did a 4 last year. So that gives us a metric. This year, they're saying average raise would be 3.5, which is something we have already implemented. We did 4. So 7% would be a lot more. So I'm going to suggest that we look at that and make a motion that, so we can talk about that further. We can have a whole meeting about that, but I'd like that to be discussed because we did already do that. 7% is out of line. Any thought?
I guess, do we want to do, like to go along with what Doug said, do we want a meeting to just go over the entire budget, or do we want to just hone in on a few key elements?
So there's the question. If what I was hearing was that there wasn't anything to talk about, I have things to talk about. So if you would like to have a special meeting, I have that on my list. There is also, I have that specific topic. I would also like to look at the capital reserve rate. Sent you out a spreadsheet about that. Mm-hmm. Director Brickman and I have already met, so there are proposed suggestions. Doug already did a lot of math on a lot of scenarios with this, but basically we already know it's going to have to be kind of doubling the capital reserve rate to get us breaking even, balance the budget, and give us a little bit extra, about 700,000 extra. That is not a whole lot of base building for the 80 million we're trying to get up to. So that's where we're at. So we can do these things. We can have another meeting later. We can talk about it now. We can have a special meeting.
Could we consider the option of a study session instead of a meeting where we know there's no pressure to come up with a conclusion? We can just have a candid conversation about budget and people.
You do need to have the budget, the formal published budget, not published, yes, published budget hearing So you could do a work session, but you do need to have the formal published budget hearing
Yes,
sometime.
yeah, I know, I'm just saying, before we get there, could we have a,
Well, what's the definition of a work session?
It's a board meeting at which no action may be taken,
Cannot be taken or just?
cannot be
yeah,
taken.
So my impression is that we would have to.
Then we would still
some of
have to
these
do a
things in
budget
there.
meeting anyway, right?
Yes.
Technically,
yes, public one, but this would allow us to try to find consensus among the 5 of us.
We would need to have another meeting between though to have the vote. To say this is what we want in the final budget to be presented. So you're suggesting 2 meetings.
But it is.
And then the final.
Yeah, sure, certainly. Well,
So the only difference is you can't.
so do we really only have those three, for lack of a better term, 3 issues? The salary percentage, what you're saying is the capital reserve, and the other amount where what was the other one with the capital reserve?
That's it. That's it.
So is there really only then 2 issues?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that to me.
I don't care either way, I'm just offering it as a suggestion.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to streamline. I mean, before we spend 3 hours beating each other up over something, can we just narrow it down to a couple of things and take care of it?
I'd be happy with that.
And clarify where would tap fees be in all this?
Well, you also need to have a 30-day notice before any meeting in which you consider changing your rates and fees. So that needs to happen as part of the budget process. It doesn't necessarily have to happen in the single meeting as the budget adoption. In fact, you should probably do the rates and fees changes before the final budget is adopted.
But we can't, we did post a notice, isn't that right? That the rates and fees will be with the budget hearing in November.
Well, we haven't posted any yet.
Okay,
If you haven't,
that's not.
if you haven't posted notice of the rates and fees hearing yet, it'll have to be, it's too late for the November meeting, the regular November meeting. So you would either need to post notice and have a special meeting in November, or post notice for the regular December meeting. So you do them both in December.
Yeah, my apologies, I thought, typically, last few years, we've done both in the December meeting, so I thought that was what we were doing.
Okay. If it's all the same, I would like to suggest we have a meeting that would where I can put these two. Actually, I have a third issue, but kind of minor. To set a special meeting, and I can write up proposed motions to have on that, so that we can look at that and have it done. It would streamline the process if we could have the motions and vote on that, and then incorporate those or not into a budget that would be presented in. It doesn't even matter. We'd have to set a special meeting for also November. Actually, so do we even need, do you think we can resolve these 3 issues if I can get those motions on the November agenda?
I don't think so.
No. You would like.
Well, I'm not against it. I just don't think it's possible.
So you just like, so we have to have a separate budget meeting?
No.
It's separate, it can be incorporated into the regular.
It can, yeah.
Yes.
But we're gonna look at a special meeting. We can do it all. If we do it in November, during the regular November meeting, then we could pass it in the December meeting, is what Pavlik is saying.
You could consider a budget that has amended rates and fees, and then later adopt those rates and fees if you wanted.
Yeah, I would rather do that. Consider that it has all in there. The tap fees, we are still working on.
We have to go into the formula. And then once we have the percentage of the information for the formula, then we can propose, we have to give them the 30 days notice to post those.
Yeah, to post everything.
You don't have to post the proposed rates and fees. You just have to post notice of a meeting at which you will consider changing the rates and fees.
Okay.
So you could.
Well, this is the 10th. The November meeting is the 14th, so you still have a few days to potentially post that hearing.
30 days.
Publication.
No, we don't need to.
Or no, that doesn't, the budget hearing has to be public.
Right, so it's 28 days. It's exactly 4 weeks from today. So you can't do the rates and fees because that's 30 days. You could do the budget because you have to publish, but there's no timeline on the publication. There's one.
So you're telling me we could adopt the budget tonight and then amend it later?
Yeah, you can't.
I was gonna say, okay.
You can't adopt the budget tonight. Today is just the presentation of the budget. The
Okay.
formal budget hearing is going to be published and held either in November or December.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah, so your deadline to adopt the budget is December 31st.
Can we look at a special meeting that we can do just, we can do a work session if you'd rather.
Well, yeah.
I just want to do the most efficient for everybody so we don't feel pressured to commit.
Well, let me follow up on the work session. Saying we can't put it in a work session. On the one hand, I'm a big believer in let's hear it, talk about it, think about it, go home. So not voting at a meeting is okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, if there is an overwhelming reason to vote on it right now, I would say, why prevent myself from doing that? There's a reason not to. So I'm back to, why not just have a regular meeting? And if we say, okay, we'll just table it and move on to the next meeting, fine, but let's not call it a work session.
Well, we can't really table, I mean, this can't be tabled. This has to be dealt with literally by no later than the end of November.
Well, we can talk about anything in a meeting and we'd sit there and it's like, okay, let's pick it up at the next meeting or something like that.
Right, but we really only have one meeting without any special meeting before that.
So can we do I agree with you, and it would be, get it all done. Can we do a special meeting, October 24th? That we can pass or not anything, and that would also give us time to have an actual budget ready to be presented at the regular November meeting that we will have a budget hearing for, but then we can pass all budget rates and fees in after all that discussion in December.
So that's 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you have any other suggestions for the budget, I would like to see a budget version that would have that cap rate for the 5 million scenario worked in.
5 million income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worked into the budget.
Yeah. Dave, what I'm trying to do is avoid a vote on the budget that's not 5-0. Like this to be unanimous going forward with the budget. And I think we may at this point have divergent views on the budget, some items in the budget.
Okay. So I am thinking, to recap that, I am thinking October 24th, 6 p.m. special budget meeting.
Well, say it again.
October 24th, 6 p.m. special meeting for the budget, at which we'll have a new version that shows the capital reserve. I will write out motions for, I'm suggesting eliminate the extra 3% staff. I'm also going to recommend one position get an extra and maybe reclass. Anybody else I will write those out so they will be on the agenda. If anybody else has any changes they would like to the budget, please bring those as you would like them as motioned, and we can discuss them out.
And I need to make a clarification and an apology. It's 5 weeks. So November 14th is more than 30 days. I was wrong. Sorry, Josh.
No worries.
I think that timeline could still work for that, to actually have it, that November meeting, have the budget hearing. And then we will also talk about any new tap fees, the other fees, and then adopt everything in December.
So would you like the rate hearing to be in November or December?
December, I think. Everybody else agree? That gives us
That's fine.
time.
Sure.
We'll make all the big decisions by November 14th and everybody can chime in. That would give the public time on the 14th. And then if we needed to make any changes before the December meeting, we can.
Not to throw a wrench in, but just to clarify, I have a trip from end of October, October 27th, 28th through November 7th.
Okay. That is in the middle of our action items. So go ahead, we'll let you. See ya.
Well, there are certain advantages. You get it all done. I don't have to get involved. I guess less work. But anyway, for what it's worth, I'll be helpful.
Well, you would be here for everything. You wouldn't miss anything.
Oh,
But I like your thinking, Dave.
Yeah, we'll meet before.
it goes so much smoother.
So just to clarify, the budget hearing and rate hearing will be December. Only changes you want for,
Well, yeah,
the only changes you want in the budget for the special meeting on the 24th would be the capital reserve rate being at 5 million.
yes,
That's the only change, and then November will be kind of ironing out the details to where a final draft will be presented
yes.
in December with rates and.
I would rather have a final version to be presented so the public can weigh in on the
Sure.
14th, a draft that we have agreed on.
I would actually look forward to that part of
Right after the study session.
After the study session, so we can present that to the public in the 14th, but then also have the official hearing in December. Yes, and that way, if they don't like it, we can hear all the public comments in that month and they have time to adjust.
Okay.
Okay. Are we missing anything? Yeah. All right. All right, well, I guess that's it for the budget then.
Great. Thanks very much, Tom. Appreciate it.
So we're gonna do the engineer's report a little different. Instead of putting in Josh's slides on operation and maintenance and then have him chime in when I mistake or incorrect with what Josh is trying to get across. He's actually gonna present that part. Next slide, Sam, if you would. Okay, so again, Josh will do the maintenance and field report. I'll do the remainder of the engineer's report, a couple of land development reviews. I didn't want to spend too much time on that, although there was maybe a little bit of a shift on how I, based on some emails between myself and Karen Friday afternoon. So we'll talk a bit about the Fed Center. Probably not much else in terms of land development reviews. Infrastructure replacement projects, there's a couple going there. The district manager search, that'd be another one. I was going to maybe do some updates on that, but I think we'll just defer until that discussion item is under director's matters, I believe. So I'll not talk about the district manager search within the context of the district engineer's report. But I will talk about consulting engineering selection. And we have a couple of guests here. Here in the building is Deb Olinger and Allie Bickman. Bickman, okay. They are with Olson Associates, which is obviously one of the firms I recommend that we bring on board as an on-call consulting engineer. And I do see where David Hawk from Miller and Associates is also with us.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, David. And so we'll talk about that. But I guess up next, next slide, Sam, would be Josh.
Yeah, not a ton to report after a few months without any main breaks. We had 2 in September, both by way of erosion. The one on Florida and Urban was the big one that we had that guys were out for about 18 hours. A lot of asphalt restoration on that project from Mostly.
Nice bill.
Decent bill for asphalt, but Lakewood, we gotta comply with their patchback method. So the other one, Atlantic, was also corrosion, and just it was a pretty typical week during the day, so we didn't have to deal with any overtime.
Is that Atlantic one part of the place that we were? Is that a different Atlantic?
It's a different Atlantic. It's a little further to the east.
That was exactly the question.
I'm thinking like Dave. Oh my gosh.
Down,
Shoot
right
now.
down we're on Lake Street, across from the open space on the south side of Jewel there. Right over there.
Right for soil movement there at the open space.
You're continuing to improve the infrastructure replacement and capacity replacement planning sheet. Sam's tied a lot into the GIS and made some huge leaps there, so we can continue to go down that visualization road where we can fall asleep in the spreadsheet. We can really identify where in the district we need to concentrate. So
Remind me, what's IRP?
Infrastructure replacement.
Infrastructure.
Yeah. We've elected to go with 2 buckets to help clean up planning. So we know what we're getting our infrastructure replaced, as well as working with capacity related projects.
No. How is what are you planning on doing with? I mean, that was how do you see staffing now that the meter replacement is going to be outsourced? That has not started yet, correct?
That has not started yet, and what's going to happen is they're going to come in and be able to assist in scheduling, getting a hold of customers, getting into their homes, while the current meter staff can go out and on stuck meters, dead endpoints that we can continue to work on alongside with the contracted service company. So
do dead ones just need replaced, or is there a way?
the only way we really know is when we go out to read them, because it's a classic endpoint is what it's labeled as. So we have to go around with a little antenna in the truck, and it picks up the reads, and the ones that we don't get, we know are not responding. They need to get done. We don't know that again until we read. So our staff will be continuing to plug away at those while the contracted company will be scheduling and getting into the people's homes that way. So it's going to cut down a lot of work on the office, taking calls, sending letters, just estimating bills. It's a lot of work.
Should be far more efficient.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, with this project started, I think, in 2017, 2018.
That's labeled 2017.
Yeah.
We first budgeted for it, but 2018 we actually started getting this. So
yeah, and then COVID happened, shortages happened. Like there was almost 2 years we didn't need any inventory. The CEO of Badger Meter actually came out and sat down with everybody to express a concern for the chip shortage in processes, which their factories were shut down, so they weren't able to produce necessary equipment to deliver.
Do they have a backlog today?
But they still have a backlog, but I think they're prioritizing some customers. We're on target to get all of our inventory, right?
as far as we're concerned, we have we have that now, but we still have some outdoors that we delayed because of the indoor issue.
Right.
And we have one more order. So we did say we can get that order in before the end of the year. But we also asked them 2 months ago.
It's not as bad as it was. It's still lacking.
Playing catch up.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Excellent, sounds good. Thank you for the update. Appreciate you coming in.
And then there wasn't much I had to talk about with regarding the Fed Center at this point. And that more or less might have been what I reported. There really hasn't been too much communication since we talked about it at length last up to and including last meeting. But I guess Karen, I'll turn it over to you. You suggested that
I have a couple things. Yep.
Yeah, please.
I very much regret the losing the opportunity the last time you said we do have a very inadequate environmental report from them, and I know the thinking was that it will be corrected somehow sometime and that other agencies will be looking at it.
So which firm prepared that?
They hired a firm. The developer hired a firm.
So it was their own. So it was kind of it was not of our choosing.
Yeah, it was just a memo. It really wasn't a report. It was just a memo. So we've let them know.
Proponent for them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and we let them know that. So what? You still have to get.
We have the authority within our rules and regs to ask for a report.
Well, yeah, but it'll go through an engineer of our choosing.
Yeah.
That we will accept as being independent and viable.
I would like to start that formal process.
Is that something that requires a motion? I mean, I think that would be within the discretion of the district manager to take action if he or she feels it's inadequate so far.
It could be, but I'm bringing it to the board to say, I feel it's inadequate. I would like that to happen.
So what if, to that extent, I begin that process, let them know not only that the memo they provided so far is inadequate, but that we are indeed going to hire an environmental engineering firm, do our own study,
and have they already
and bill back to them.
Right, and they've already signed the form saying they will pay for it, correct? Or do we still need to present?
We would still need to do that. So I need to negotiate a scope and fee and schedule with the environmental firm, and they know this is coming, so it's not
a surprise.
It's not a surprise, but now's as good as any time to make that formal. Make that formal. We'll just leave it at that.
Would it be appropriate for us in the context of this letter to Jefferson Properties, is it?
Lincoln Properties.
Lincoln Properties. Well, one of those presidents. Yeah. Garfield or
right.
Grant.
To
ask the environmental company to ensure they do a public listening session. So
you mean like having
so the public has an opportunity to express their concerns to the engineering company?
I don't even know if that's allowable, is it?
You can make public hearing as part
I mean,
of
I understand, like, we're trying to change zoning or do something with the property. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me.
I am getting quite a bit of blowback from the community on environmental issues.
Well, I just didn't know if that would come up when they try to, because does it technically need to be rezoned? Or has Lakewood already allowed it? Or the federal, however, is it already zoned properly for them? Or do they go through the channels, go through entitlement and all of that to get it zoned?
I think it's all done.
I believe there are no issues with zoning for the plan.
And then I was thinking, yes, I do.
No issues with zoning, probably. I think, but they saw the rest of the entitlement process, the subdivision, platting, and so
I was just curious.
They're very early in the process.
What still hurdles they might have along the way where the public could get involved?
Well, I'd like to have the public's voice actually mean something, as opposed if the city were to do something and people expressed in comments today online about going to the meeting last night, how worthless it was. But clearly nobody cared, is sort of the impression I got.
I mean, it's definitely good to hear,
Yeah.
you know, legally, would it stop them? I don't know that, but I think having, you know, the opinions and thoughts out there could potentially persuade some of their choices.
The other question I would just, so it's out there, if we put this together, then Green Mountain Water would be the lead agency pressing the environmental issue, which is fine, but if that's what.
We've already expressed our interest in that from a safety standpoint of our employees.
Correct.
So that's consistent with our concern for employees and buttresses that position that we're not going to do anything to endanger.
And I did not realize, but so when Joan posted, and I didn't know where all of it was, but where she was saying, I don't know, like if she was saying they're economically challenged, I don't know what is being proposed, where she said from the children's standpoint. I don't know if that was something she interjected herself or if that's actually a known proposal.
I think there's a daycare activity on Fed Center property, and she may be referring to that, not new development but existing.
Okay.
Just guessing, honestly.
And other agencies are still able to do whatever they want, but I would like to be able to rely on something that we have. I think that's important for our staff.
I agree.
Nobody's going to be more concerned about that property from an environmental perspective than we are.
Well, because we ultimately, I'm just truly concerned about the liability. That's my huge issue for us, is to safeguard us, our customers, our assets, everything that we have is to safeguard it.
Right.
Yeah, we're all on the same page, I think.
Okay, so then I would like to make formal.
Yeah, we're all in agreement now. I just want to clarify. When we go out and seek a company, we'll be asking for at least 3 bids.
Negative. No, at least one of the firms that I'm suggesting we hire later on has that ability to do that in-house. So they've been, we went through that whole process that led up to tonight. And so we would negotiate with that firm, scope, fee, schedule.
I would disagree.
Yeah.
So can I let's do one thing at a time. Okay. One, I would like to start, make formal motion that we are sending a letter or announcing to the board email to the developer that we found the environmental memo inadequate, and we are going to initiate this process of environmental review for which they will pay for. Is there a second?
I will second it. Director
Hook seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval. Thank you very much. As to the who to do,
Can I interrupt for just a second? It is not a construction project, so it is not statutorily required that you send it out for bids. Your bylaws only require bidding for construction projects. You can do whatever you want, but you are not obligated to send it out for bid.
Well, I guess I don't see a reason to necessarily. I would just choose who we think is best suited for the thing, regardless of the. I mean, I don't want to take the low bidder if we think that, you know, if Mike is our best choice, if Allie, or if they're our best, whoever's our best choice, that's who I would want to do that.
I agree. So that's why I would like to do, and I understand that you did a all-encompassing, we can do everything. It was never my intention to say that meant that the person we will use for everything. And part of it is the diversifying. And for especially this specifically, when it is environmental, there will be other people who would want to apply that are environmentally minded, who would not do things such as the sanitation, construction, designing lift stations that you also looked at. So you might have eliminated some people that this is more suited for. So I would like to see some bids and see if there's anybody else out there. What does everybody think?
I certainly agree. It's a big deal.
It's a big
and
deal.
if it is a big deal, treat it as such.
Yes.
Let's get 3 of them. Now, if it turns out we choose somebody that Mike says, it's fine. But in the meantime, I don't want to go in the blinders. I'd rather have 3 than just 1.
Okay. So I agree. can I make a motion that we put this out to bid? Actually, I
So
don't
are
even
we,
know what
are
we
we
would be
looking
doing.
for like statements of qualifications?
Statements of
What is going to
qualifications,
make them differentiate them? Is that what you're saying is going to do that?
Yeah,
To Todd's point again, ultimately the developer is going to pay for it. So we need to pick the best qualified firm and not bid.
See, I guess
Dylan's
that's my
point, but,
struggle with bid
you're
is
right,
I
you're
feel
right.
like from a bid that we're supposed to give them the
Yeah.
cheapest, and that
That's
is not what, especially
No.
with the federal center
Yeah.
and what has gone on there and the potential issues. That's the last thing I'd want to do is try to be cheap.
you're
Right.
totally right, you're right.
Ain't our time.
So can we just say, come up with the process, you can bring that to the board if you need, but put out the statement. My environmental firm replied to RFQs. So there's a variety of ways, maybe we need to cross-post it. And I think that would be good for a project of this magnitude. I agree. Okay.
Understood. Yep.
So that your understanding, what I'm understanding is a something. What are you understanding? Let's say
That we'll ask at least 3 firms for their qualification, their interesting qualifications, select the best firm that we think is best suited. Once we select the best firm, we'll negotiate scope, schedule, and fee.
Yeah.
Then we can write a letter to Lincoln Properties saying we're pressing the button. We're going to move forward with this environmental study that we've been talking about, and here's the dollar amount, the scope of what they're going to do in the schedule.
Well, now let me clarify.
yeah.
Are you just talking about asking 3 people to apply? I mean, what I'd like to do is just do a broad, and everybody's welcome to apply. Now, of course, if nobody applies, well, yeah.
We can advertise like we did for the engineer and advertise on the website, but
Well, not just our website, but out in the broad world.
as you wish, we'll be more effective if we reach out to, say, a handful of firms. If you have some in mind, Dave,
No,
let me
I don't.
know.
And I don't mind you reaching out to somebody, but like I said, I never want to limit myself. It's like, if you've got the 3 best and they come in, it works out fine. But in the meantime, I want to ask the world, if 100 of them come in and 97 are crap, and we ended up with the same 3 that you wanted, fine, but I have confidence. As opposed to, I just limited myself to just 3.
I guess I'm struggling with this, all the world, to me, we're making it way more complicated.
And much longer
we're
process.
yes, we're making this, to me, I want, and it's even like when we're interviewing the engineers and the other people, I guess my thought process was that we were to be honing in on firms that would be able to move forward and do the stuff we needed and wanted.
Mhm.
As opposed to me, I mean, it's like, if everything's a free-for-all, why would I want to work with you?
Why?
I'm not saying, does that kind of make sense to you?
No.
Okay.
I never want to get the whole process was, I thought, so that we were not guaranteeing a single firm all work.
I agree with that.
And we're talking about 2 different things here. And I think we're talking about getting somebody for general stuff. And if you've got 3 in mind, we pick somebody and
Yes.
maybe see them, that's fine. But the Fed Center is a standalone, once in a lifetime, biggest project in the world for us. And it gets special consideration.
I agree, it's a huge project and it is it's unique in that way with what has been there. I agree with that. I guess I'm just thinking of myself, if my firm came in and I got 100 bids from engineers to do the commercial building we're doing, do you know how many I'd probably look through faithfully? Not 100. I mean, I would just get lost in the volume, and that to me makes no sense.
Are any of us qualified to know what makes one environmental study firm better than another?
I'm not.
I don't. Do you? You do,
I feel I do, yeah. I didn't know if you're
Yes,
asking.
and you are, you have
and-
some background in this.
So we can call on help as we need it, but this kind of. I mean, this is the job. I don't want to say we're not qualified to do a whole heck of a lot of things.
Can't we ask our acting part-time dude to look at up to 10 or 15 firms and then tell us who he thinks is the best? And if we disagree, we can call a meeting. Otherwise, let him get on with this. We've only got him till Thanksgiving.
I would feel more comfortable.
Yeah, are you saying this is all gonna be done by Thanksgiving?
Well, no,
I'd like the decision done by Thanksgiving, get this thing moving forward. If we don't do it, Lakewood will get ahead of us on this and we'll be screwed.
No, I don't believe that, because we still have to do our own due diligence, and that's what we're doing here, no matter what Lakewood does. So no matter what, this is in our purview and this is our obligation to ask for.
I understand we think it's within our purview. I hope it remains that way.
I hope you will fight for that as well, because this absolutely is in our purview.
No, I would.
I'll give you another
I'm just
simple
looking at
example for me.
what happened in
Over the years, like we've honed down, like we have, I'll say, I'm just gonna make 7 structural engineering firms we use. We have 8 MEP engineering firms we use. We have 10 civil engineering firms we use. We have whatever, these landscape architects. We have people that over the years have proven themselves. So I guess to me, my more logic, like I'm hearing shotgun from you. I would rather, and I would just say this, like if Mike knows firms that he's comfortable with, or if you know a firm that you're comfortable, I would feel more comfortable about that than just having, you know, Mike, Dylan, and Karen, and Dave, and Roger, and Todd all send in things for it. I guess to me, because I like track records, I like consistency. I guess that's the part of my thing is I love consistency and knowing people perform on a consistent basis. They're regular. You can rely on them. You know what you're getting.
What would be preventing you from getting 100 resumes and not looking at them and just saying, oh, that's the one Karen liked?
Yeah, and as far as finding the ones you believe in, you do that anyway. Now, if it turns out you send it out to the world, you get 100 of them in, Mike throws away 97 of them, and we end up.
Well, you know, that sounds good. I think, Dave, like you're saying that sounds good. I'm telling you, it's not, to me, it's not good.
All right.
I'm just saying my experience, that's not good.
So my motion is for a public posting, reaching out to those we know to find an environmental firm that can take on this study. So that includes both. You can look at them or not, you can vote or not. Is there a second for that motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell me the motion again one more time, please.
A public posting and reaching out to environmental firms.
To any and everybody, or what are we saying?
With a SOQ, a call for. And then anybody can apply. Anybody can send in their statement. We can reach out to those that we know and we can see what we get and evaluate them.
With the deadline of what? Are you including a time limit in your motion?
No, a good idea. Another month. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm interested where Roger is on this.
Well, I
proceeding
wanna
to
know
discussion.
Who is we? Is it all of us or is it Mike?
I would say the district. I'm asking, yes, Mike he has to put out the call he's asking for. So whatever you are sending out to whoever you wanted to reach out to before. I'm happy to look at that. I will tell people that I know wherever it can be posted. What do you need to do?
That'd be, again, I think you're all in discussion. So I will draft an RFQ, request for qualifications that can be posted and sent individually to firms that collectively right off the bat we know would be good candidates.
So you're saying selective now. You're saying broad-based, you're saying selective.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, he's saying.
We can advertise and maybe we get 100, maybe we don't get any. But we can also reach out to maybe a half dozen firms that we know up front would be good.
Make sure they're aware of.
Well, that
Exactly.
that feels better to me than the broad swath.
Yeah, I know we're 2-2 here. I just don't know where you are, Roger. Your thoughts would be helpful. Well, unless you don't.
Yeah.
Or we could just vote.
The broad swath was included, right?
I'm sorry?
You're saying no broad, but the broad swath was included because it will be posted.
It can be posted, anybody in there, so we could get 100 submittals or it could get none based on that. But we will actually specifically invite
Yes.
3, 5, or 6 firms that we, ahead of time, we would say.
Are you okay?
I'm okay with the selective part, the broad part, just, I don't know why I have struggled with that.
I think the broad part will be ineffective and it'll demonstrate itself as such, and we'll just end up with who's gonna do anyway. So I think
then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
No harm done.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
So we had a motion from me, second from Director Wickman. Any other discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Aye, unanimous approval. Thank you very much.
May I just comment to our guests, I'm sorry that you have to see the sausages we made.
Oh, they should get used to it.
And having people already in the queue does not. You already know them. I wouldn't think that would be a revetting of them. That was not.
Indeed, yeah, we're on the same page, yeah.
Okay. That finishes that one motion turned into 2. Can you also update us about the status of the risk management study? Were you able to reach out to the Special District Association?
I have not done that yet. That's on my to-do list, Karen, but I have not.
Okay.
I have not performed that task.
Okay.
As of now.
I'm not quite ready to talk about it yet either, so I'm good with that.
Okay. Do you think you would be ready by the next meeting?
Oh, I would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about? Like,
Risk management.
oh, yeah, okay.
That's the thing we don't do very well.
Not sensitive, okay.
Although it was, well, I'll get to that, but it was one of the part of the interview process for the engineering firms is what do they do about formal risk management assessment. Oh yeah, I took it off between, I published this and then Karen wanted to talk more specifically about what we just did about the environmental. 1078 Alkire, yes, the developer came in with his attorney, Sam and Josh and myself listened. The meeting was essentially over in 5 minutes, although they were here for 20 or before we could finally get rid of them. But it was really a non-starter because he didn't want to pay tap fees, let alone water's fees, let alone
the sewer maintenance to upgrade the pipe.
Yeah, so it was 5 minutes of
I can't believe that
25 minutes of we gotta go now.
Ever get out of tap fees ever. I mean, you might have an arguable point on some of the other things, but never would you get out of tap fees.
Would it be useful for the board to state in a motion our opposition to any request for not paying tap fees?
Well,
and you can.
I don't think we've ever waived. Have they ever been waived ever?
Well, what I'm concerned with is, he's been attorney shopping, and
is he on his 3rd or 4th?
Third. He keeps doing this. It just takes up our staff time. We ought to just say, I think, no, not going to happen.
Right, unless you're willing to come in with a reasonable proposal that includes that plus something else. Please, we won't meet with you. Yeah. Well, do we need to make that formal or just tell him that the next time he calls or emails him?
In all honesty,
you're wasting our time.
We kind of said that, and then it took 20 minutes of being polite and we got to go. Thank you for coming to us basically just take it
let the notebook walk out.
Yeah,
thank you
for that. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's welcome to come in and talk to us until they make themselves unwelcome. And I think that last meeting was an unwelcome meeting.
Well, I guess 2 reactions. It's like, on the one hand, why did they ever get it in their head that they'd be exempted from tap fees? And so therefore, I think it's a non-brainer. We should say so. However, I guess I can say, when I look back upon the history, you know, when Adam Paul was on the board and stuff like that, they did tap fees and they did give the tap fees back. And it's like, what in the world were they thinking? And so maybe we ought to say, everybody should know it, but let's just repeat it again. Yeah, don't get your tap fees back. It's non-negotiable.
Well, times have definitely changed. I mean, and our costs are increasing, our infrastructure aging. I mean, there is zero reason to ever do that. I mean, these people they're not valuable to us. We're valuable to them. They are not valuable to us.
Well, you know, ironic, you know, we know about what happened in the past, but on the Denver Federal Center, the agreement that they put together 15 years ago required that deal to get their tap fees back to them. And whoever comes in on this Federal Center, if they think that they're going to get tap fees back, we need to be shooting that down real damn quick.
Well, that's why I think this is a nice opportunity with a small thing.
Well, I mean, shouldn't that be a given?
Well, it should be a given, but it wouldn't hurt to repeat it.
It's a given until lawyers get involved and think they can get some billable time. That's the way I smell this one.
Well, if the guy's dumb enough to keep paying retainer fees to attorneys, then he's, you know.
I just don't understand the burden with
Is there a formal motion on the table? Do we have, what would you like?
I don't need to put a motion for it. If you guys are comfortable stating your. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, I think you got a good point. It might be good to codify, because.
Well, why don't we ask staff to think about it and come back to us next month, because it's a new thing.
We could ask a lawyer to do that.
Moving on.
Have you seen the budget for lawyers next year?
Okay, infrastructure replacement projects, really there's two to talk about. One's Bear Creek, which is essentially done. There was a final change order. That work we had to do, we had to actually replace the pipe instead of line it going across Morrison. That's complete. We have a change order. Josh and I looked over that very carefully, and then obviously Bear Creek is a player in this, so we forwarded it to them for their review, and then we'll be able to do the final pay request and close this project out.
Good. Are you going to get the reimbursement payment in calendar year 2023? You think?
I don't know. That would be a close call.
Just curious.
With
Bear
Creek?
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Oh, okay.
I would assume that if we get it to them, everything that's finalized and we get those payouts to them before their regular board meetings, they shouldn't have an issue. I know when we anticipate the project being over sooner, I had already sent her an invoice, which has now been canceled due to the extra work, and she was in agreement that she would do it at their next regular meeting. So.
Gotcha.
And I can reach out to them tomorrow. I forward her all the information, and
They do have the change order itself in their hands. They've had that for about a week, but we haven't gotten the final pay request yet.
we just got another one from American West, but it's not
The final.
the final, correct. They just had some punch item things to work through before we go down that road.
If I can go on another subject, you got me thinking. We said Bear Creek. There's another water district, Alameda, to the east. Somehow we have something to do with them that might affect the Millstone property, which is, okay, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know that anything's going on, but I've heard it, and I'm thinking, do we want to be a little proactive? Or because you know, I see a sign up saying that they're really trying to get it developed and stuff like that.
I just saw that sign there along Alameda.
Yeah,
They requested a will serve letter. I reached out to Alameda Water saying
who requested a roll serve?
I think it's their engineering firm for Millstone.
Millstone.
Yeah.
Requested a will serve from Alameda or from us? From us.
There are customers. We have bought into their line so many taps. I don't recall off the top of my head how many we have, but I spoke with Karen, who's the district manager for Alameda, and they're not accepting any new connections right now. They're designing their outfall line for construction in 2024. So, and that's the only way they're going to get
Is that the one that runs down Alameda?
And it goes across Kipling, goes under Kipling.
That's gonna be a big mess.
So you're not anticipating anything right now.
No,
How far down the road is beyond right now? Good for a month, 6 months, a
I mean, they're
year?
still designing right now, so I don't know the scope of their project
Would they be coming to us next year?
potentially.
Mhm.
But I'd have to get more detail from Karen. Right now, they're just still in design, so I can request that information from her. I don't know if they're doing 10,000 feet of, 21 inch or what the real scope of their project is. So that'll definitely play a role.
Probably about the same time we're trying to do the lines for the Rite Aid car wash on Alameda.
Well-
Sixth Avenue parking lot's gonna be better.
Yeah, we're always, emergencies, I like trying to get ahead of it always once.
Next slide. And then, this is a nice segue, actually. There's the water line replacement project. Currently, they're just doing the surveying, utility locates, preliminary design in December. And then we'll finish up the design, have the agency, those agencies that are pertinent review, go to bid in February. And it'll be a summer of 2024 construction project. So it is in the works. Speaking of RG and Associates, this is right now the single biggest engineering project we have, which they are doing. And so they did. They were one of the firms that submitted a statement of qualifications for on-call surveying or on-call engineering services. And we talked about it amongst ourselves, and really the best way to evaluate them is see how they perform on this rather large project. And so we did not bring them in for interviews with feeling that if they do a nice job, we'll find work for them to do in the future, and use this as a means for evaluating them. It takes staff and the consulting firms time, money, effort to put together the statement of qualifications come for interview. So they were actually appreciative that they didn't have to go through that process, knowing that they perform well. There could and should be work for them in the future.
Did we ask them to do risk management as part of this to share with us, or
No, that was pretty. They were awarded this work really. No, short answer is no. They were brought on board to do what was then the Enlightened project, water line project, back in the spring, and then that project. So that's
project was late.
No, that project was not late. We expanded the scope, and that's what they're doing. The 7 sites now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking exposition.
Yeah. So that's not in their scope to do anything extraordinary in terms of risk management. We can do it in-house. That said,
we're just kicking that can down the road, and I agreed to kick it myself. I'm just irritated that
we don't have to anymore. That was something. Next slide, Sam. I guess all that said, then we talked about RG and Associates went through a process. And so I guess what I'm asking tonight is for a motion to bring on board Miller and Associates and Olson as 2 firms for on-call engineering. It would be set up as a 4-year contract, and then 4 years we'll go through the same process again, or things happen between now and 4 years, but that way it doesn't turn into maybe what happened with AmeriCorps. It goes on maybe too long, it's 40 years instead of 4. In this case, 4. We can go through the process again.
40 years sounds real credible when you're testifying in court.
When they're on call, is there a retainer fee?
No. So, and perhaps what I've requested for motion, maybe I overthought it. One would be to, the first part would be to select Miller and Associates and Olson And then the other part is we don't have a standard engineering contract. Right now, we have 3 engineers under contract, JBA, RG and Associates, and Respect. And then we have 3 different contracts, and we went through that.
So you're standardizing them.
I would like to come, part of this process has come up with the, a standard engineering agreement for Green Mountain Water, so that, this, wheel doesn't have to be reinvented every time we bring somebody on board.
Dylan, are you okay with that?
I mean, Dylan would obviously.
Yeah, I don't want Mike doing it himself.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great display of confidence.
I would make a motion that we, extend that opportunity to RG and Associates, Miller and Associates, and Olson. So we standardize the 3. That might mean we have to terminate whatever we have with RG and Associates in order to have a new one. But
Yeah, I would.
I probably wouldn't do that at this point.
Yeah, they're well into that project. I would let them finish it. Just moving forward for these 2 firms, then that way, engineering firms in the future. We'll have a standard.
Modify my motion to make that offer to RG and Associates and Miller and Associates. I'm sorry, Miller and Olson.
I'll second.
Director Garner makes motion, and Director Wickman seconds. Do you need the standard, you're saying to do the standard contract first and then extend them that contract once you get it done?
Correct. I'm not even 100% sure I needed it that much. Maybe that's just something that could be done. You just tell me to do it and I'll do it, kind of thing. But I guess the motion I want is ratification of the selection of Miller and Associates and Olson as the 2
on-call.
As the 2 on-call engineering firms. And
okay.
My motion.
Motion for selecting 2 on-call engineers, Miller and Associates and Olson, with whatever.
Motion so modified if necessary.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? Great idea for a standardized contract. Love it.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much. Anything else, Mr. Yost?
No, I had some more information, but looks like you all read what I put in the packet and the email I sent out the other day. So that's it. Good.
Oh, look, we have a treasurer again.
No, I like to be just a treasurer. That was better.
I have one more question. What's the status of the Ravine Bridge trestle design?
I just got, I forget the gentleman's name from Respect, just within a couple of days, he sent me his schedule. And it was the first time I'd heard from him for quite some time. So starting the week of October 16th, which will be next week, they were going to scope out the project. And it's done without any specifics, have a pre-design meeting. So
okay.
I presume they're gonna call me, or I need to call them and set up a meeting here just to kick the project off.
Okay, so it has not started yet.
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have any easement issues with that study?
Well, there are easement issues in general.
Do we need to get a permit from Lakewood to go do?
Oh, I see what your question is. I guess we'll cross that bridge. When we get to it, that hasn't come. I mean, it's great. I understand the question. It's a great question, but
yeah, I mean, Phil may know. We want to talk about that later.
I don't expect you will.
Okay, good.
I don't expect Respect will.
Okay.
Can you get a timeline from them then? I guess I'm a little surprised it hasn't started yet.
I can, in fact, yeah, I can forward just exactly what they sent me. Just
yeah,
like I said, it was yesterday or maybe even Friday afternoon.
Yeah, after you have your meeting, I expect you'll have more details. So
right.
That may be more helpful to. So if you can let us know, that would be great. All right, that's all I have. No, one more question on the on-call engineers. Did you interview specifically for somebody to do the overall project management?
Not at this point.
Okay.
That was a part of the discussion during the interviews was for each firm to describe their project management, what software they use, what platforms they use.
Okay.
But there won't be, at this point, we haven't said one or the other of the firms would be the overall
Gotcha.
project management.
Thank you. Any other, it seems like it has been longer than an hour and a half. Is it time for a break? Anybody?
Please.
Can we do a 10-minute, well, 15-minute break? Could be 10-minute break. Come back at 7:35.
Yeah.
Questions for Doug?
Maybe Josh.
Oh, they're still with us. Thank you, folks.
All right, back in session. We can start back up with the director's matters, and we have a update on the district manager search. Who would like to speak?
I will address the search firm agreement. I did nail down that we discussed last time that it was 25% or $37,500, whichever threshold is met first.
Now, what did they say?
25%. But in no case shall the fee be less than 37,500. So
it's the greater of.
Sorry,
It's the greater of.
yeah, yes, that's true.
And does that mean they get it whether they find them or not?
Yes, and $10,000 up front, and then an additional payment, but that is all included in the 25% or 37,500. If that makes sense.
Well, at our maximum range.
But here's the bottom line.
Wow.
No.
I was gonna say they wanted the $10,000 still.
Yeah, it's just not. We can do what we need to do.
I agree at this point.
And it sounds like we have some other options that are looking real good.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Would you care to explain?
We've encouraged employees to apply for the position. It sounds like maybe one or two might be interested, and I'd certainly encourage that. And I hate to pay a firm.
He's leaving.
I'd hate to pay a firm $37,500 and then hire internally. It would be
Right.
quite the expense.
I would agree.
That's not saying we're guaranteeing a job for employees, but we'd certainly like to start that way, in my opinion.
Well,
Consider them.
How would the board feel if I were to make a motion that says on the 31st of October, we'll close with having any resumes we've received from staff plus resumes we've received from the outside, and we all bring to the next meeting our top three. And
The November meeting.
And see if we can conclude that we have a top one or two, and then do the appropriate advertising or notice to the public that we're going to interview the top two.
Do we have to interview them in front of the public?
Yes.
If you do it as a board, yes, it has to be. If you do a committee of 2 directors, you could do that privately, but the 5-member board interviewing would need to be a public meeting.
Don't we want to honor or respect, like especially employee privacy? Would we want to create a committee?
I don't know why would they have any more privacy than anybody else applying for the job.
No, that's a good point too. I just know if I were applying for a position, I wouldn't want to do it publicly. Me personally.
I think the whole thing in public anyway is just a struggle for me anyway. I think it's almost, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it's awkward. It's awkward.
Totally
That's
awkward.
the exact word. Thank you, Dylan. It's awkward. So when was the last time you stopped beating your wife?
Yeah.
Or have you stopped beating your wife? Whatever. To me, that's what it's the equivalent of.
Yeah.
It is very common in these positions, and in government, it just, this is the way it is.
I think we can be adult and professional and make it.
I understand. Even if we are, I still think it's awkward.
It's totally awkward. It's not fun for anybody, but it is there's government.
And if we each have come up with 2 questions, ask, we agree to the questions in advance, so we don't duplicate each other's.
Right.
And then we ask those, give those the opportunities for them to see the questions. They can just answer them. We're done. We make our selection.
We make our selection.
So are you saying providing them in advance the questions?
There's no reason not to. I don't believe.
Yeah. No, you don't provide interview questions beforehand. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Why not?
Because then why have an interview? Why don't you just send them in an answer? They can write them.
Well, you want to see what their verbal skills are.
Well, yeah, but you're not testing that if they're just reading their answers, if they have studied. Let me start. Sorry, I'm going to start from the beginning. Motion I would agree with your proposal to have a cutoff, except I would like to push it out to November 7th. That would that would be maximizing the time for, let's see, November 3rd is a Friday.
So what is I mean, haven't we gotten most of what we're gonna get anyway? I mean.
We just reposted, we just posted everything.
I
So
know
when I
that.
went and looked at SDA site last week, before the last meeting, our position was not on it. It is on there now. Same for AWWA. It was not on there, it is on there now. So it is out there, same with LinkedIn. So it has
So
not.
this, as the 10th, they would, even at the 31st, they would have 3 weeks to apply. So you're saying 4 weeks, but.
I'm saying the 3rd would be the Friday, so that would be 3 weeks. So 4 weeks
November
that it has,
3rd.
November 3rd is Friday.
I'm okay with that. I just don't wanna go super long at this point.
That would give everybody that's that weekend, 2 full weekends to evaluate any resumes before the next meeting. Okay, so.
Just trying to be respectful of his drop dead date.
So, if we look at that, can we agree on that, November 3rd? I don't know if we need to change any postings to have that deadline on it. Probably.
Postings currently don't have a deadline.
Okay. Does it say something like until filled?
I believe it says position open until filled, but I'm not.
Okay. If we get anything after that, we can look at it or not, maybe that can be discretionary, but let's look at coming. So then the next part is, what would you do? So look at coming into the November 14th meeting with top, let's say 3 candidates. And if we can narrow it down to 2 in the meeting, that way if there is not agreement.
So we each bring in 3 candidates.
No.
And no.
Yes, yes.
Oh. And then we narrow that down amongst us to 2 finalists. Okay, that sounds good to me.
What we did last time, we did a 1 point for first place.
2 for second.
No, 3 for second, 5 for third. It differentiates, it spreads out better.
Okay, and then we just add them up and go for the low score.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember that process at all, but
I don't remember it either, but I mean, I get it numerically.
If everybody has the same top 1 or top 2, then it's easy, but so bring top 3 to the next meeting is the end of the story.
Okay.
14th, okay.
And that would allow us to consider all applications, first wave, second wave.
Sure.
Okay.
Anybody who's applied.
All right, that does mean we'd need all of the applications in a folder for us to look at. Have we had any more?
I thought we did that.
We have had more. We have more constantly coming in. Jesse added us to the email, so we're also getting the emails so that we have access to download and post from some of the postings. Some of them we still need to go to the website poll.
And that's on our OneDrive?
It was on the OneDrive. Yeah, there was a shared folder.
Right, well, is it?
Did you guys
Same
send us the
folder.
link? 'Cause
It's
I
a-
haven't seen them.
It's a second wave folder. I can't remember what we call
Well,
it.
that's what I was wondering, because I saw it
We
once, but I've
discussed
not got back into it again.
So there's 2 folders now.
There's 2 folders. They should be inside the same. There should be a district manager 2023 search with 2 subfolders, one for the first set of applicants, one for the second wave.
Yeah, that's correct.
It'll work.
Okay, and that's probably good for now, but also be thinking about a couple of interview questions, and when that, if we can call them in for a special meeting mid-November, we could do interviews then.
Yeah, to follow up that. When we
And
were,
tell me again, yeah, go ahead.
when we were doing interviews with the city, we did write up the questions ahead of time. And so there were same questions to everybody.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. We have done that.
We were told we had to.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's
So
their
we do not
policy.
need to.
Because
Same
everybody
questions.
has to be treated the same. They got the same questions.
Well, yeah, the same questions make sense.
I don't recall that being an obligation. if I said that, I have changed my mind.
No, the city said that, and as always, just because they did things with me for 8 years, doesn't make it right. But obviously.
I mean, you avoid a lot of issues if you do use a script.
Right.
But
the problem with that is we ought to be asking questions relevant to the resumes we received. And they would be different for every person. Or likely would be. Because you want to probe, you know, what does this experience mean in your background? We had a resume from someone who felt that they were, I'll use the third person, they were qualified because of a long experience, and it turns out that that person might be very experienced in finance, but has never put a spade in the ground. You won't get that until you ask that specific question of that person.
Okay, the date, what was the date? I'm putting in my calendar.
The next regular meeting is on the 14th.
14th, okay.
But tell me again when, so we can look at, when are you gonna be back? You're gonna be back November 7th.
Yes.
Okay, so when we have if we have, well, that would be Thanksgiving, so we won't be able to do. Maybe the first week of December, we can do a special meeting. We'll have to look at that.
With the Tuesday
Isn't that the
before
week of our Christmas
Thanksgiving,
party?
would the Tuesday before Thanksgiving be bad? We don't,
the Tuesday before Thanksgiving
Make a
is your regular meeting,
Is our what meeting?
is your regular meeting.
The 14th.
Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Oh, the 14th, yeah. Okay.
So there should
Yeah,
be a 21st.
yeah, what you were talking about, the 21st.
Yeah, I see.
Third Tuesday.
That whole week we have is bad. Yeah. Okay, so we'll look at the dates, and when you just keep in mind questions when you pick your candidates, maybe when you're looking at the resumes, if you have application specific questions, or whether or not you can just do a couple broad ones. It would be, and think about too, because we don't have to limit ourselves to just one interview. If we've got a couple, we can do a couple other candidate meetings. We can do committees and 2-on-2. We can do other special things to get a better feel for people if we need to. And so see what you think is appropriate. We'll bring those discussions on the November meeting.
Let me ask Dylan, would it be appropriate or inappropriate if one of us, say myself, was to go out to lunch with somebody who's a candidate to kind of feel them out? Is that legal or illegal?
Well, I don't think that that's contrary to law, but I think you probably shouldn't do that.
Fair enough.
I think that would be, you're inviting trouble there, whether you then hire that person or not.
Yeah. And my instinct too, yeah.
All right, any other further discussion? We'll move on to, I'm recapping that discussion. We are all we're gonna bring in our top 3 picks to the next November regular meeting. Okay.
which is the 14th.
Which is the 14th, along with any recommendations for how to proceed, including interview questions, and if we just want to do an interview, a date, anything else special. Okay. Discussion about taking a new, getting a new minute taker. We are behind on our minutes again. They came in once and said that they are behind and they would do better. We have a lot of minutes, so we need some. I think we should look at alternatives. What do you all think?
I agree, hands down. I mean, I don't know if they have personnel issues or if our meetings are so convoluted that they can't hear. I mean, I've never tried to, like, I've watched some of our meetings and I seem to be able to hear them fine, but I don't know, like, technically when you take minutes, you know, where they try to pare them down and, you know, make them more succinct. Is that what is so difficult?
Our issue seems to be more with general responsiveness. I had 4 emails over a 1.5 week period asking for updates that were not responded to.
Do we know of other firms that offer this service?
I'm sure we could find some.
sent an email to Mike, no, to you, about, I think I included 4 firms that do that sort of thing generally. The only firm that I have personal experience with is I have another district who uses CRS for their minutes, but they contract out their entire district administration to CRS. So minutes just rolled in.
I reached out to CRS and hadn't heard it.
Yeah. Okay. I suspect that they may be having a staffing issue also.
So what you're saying is this is a business opportunity.
Yes.
I have about, including CRS, I have 4 calls out to companies and haven't received any.
Wow.
It's not a good sign.
Well, we certainly do not want to let someone go prior to having another person. That's no doubt about that.
Can we advertise on our website? Nobody can see it, would they? No.
I wouldn't be looking at district website to see about doing
No,
that.
I'm sorry, I'm stupid.
Yeah.
I withdraw the stupid question.
The whole posting problem, but we could do a part-time, just somebody who would do this. There's a lot of, I mean, it's 10 hours a month, but you know, I don't know how many.
Stay at home mom.
But it would be, I would do it.
Well, actually, I don't know if they do this, but at one point you considered using transcriptionists.
Right, like court stenographers or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the court reporting services may provide minutes taken. I didn't think about that, but there's, I don't know, half a dozen of them, and the court reporters that work for the courts often moonlight. They do stenography.
So if this was a night thing, they could do one night a month.
Well, as you record your meetings, so they just do them
when they can, right?
So we should expect that sometime in December or January, somebody from the company that does our minutes now will be listening to this and say, hey, boss.
Yep.
Can we just post that then as a part-time? Just this is an ideal Indeed.
Yeah, I think that's a
position.
great idea.
And just say part-time, less than what? 40 hours, less than 40 hours a month. I mean,
Where are you posting this?
It's on Indeed.
Oh, Indeed. Okay.
And on our website, but
And it wouldn't have to be somebody local. It could be somebody.
it could be anywhere.
Somebody who's responsive.
Yeah, just minutes. Yeah, transcribing and see what goes on. All right. Well, who can do that?
On the legal.
No, we need a motion of who and what and where. Sam, what do you think? Would you be able to write up a job description and post that on Indeed?
Yeah.
Okay. Happy to help.
Well, or we could also, so you said you contacted 4, but none of them like super recently or like a week or 2 ago or?
Two of them I contacted right before the previous meeting.
Okay.
Whatever day that was.
Last Tuesday.
Doesn't
a little over a week.
So we're having an issue with responsiveness currently. Hiring a company that also doesn't respond.
Right.
And then I contacted 3 more today.
Okay. So we don't know the outcome of those 3.
Yeah. Salary range to post. Anybody know?
I'm sorry. What?
A salary range that to post.
Yeah.
Well, would it be hourly or would it be a
Hourly.
flat fee?
Hourly.
Yeah.
$20 an hour?
We'd have to provide the technology to access this.
No, it's on.
We make that a requirement.
What are we paying now?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, but from the comfort of your home and then just say, yeah, get it done within 2 weeks. Try to 20, 18 to 25.
Yeah, then the only thing I don't know is, do they how do we know how many hours it takes?
Well,
how do you monitor that?
Yeah.
I mean, you could say it's 40 hours and it takes them 20 minutes. I doubt 20 minutes.
If you're
be able to tell how long that person is logged on to our video.
No.
Would you have,
No,
did
no.
they do that from the video?
They would, but they would be doing it from an internal Zoom link that wouldn't have any kind of data.
It takes me. It take for an hour video when I am going through and transcribing and taking minutes, because I do that. It'll take me 2 hours to do as I
About
listen
twice
to
as
it.
long. So like,
It takes me at
so
least
if our
twice as
meeting's 3 hours, it'd probably be, let's say 6 to 10.
Yeah.
So if it goes past a certain amount past it, we would.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect it to be a 5 hour meeting. You've got 5 hours of work. It's gonna take a little while.
Right.
So I don't know that we can put unless we see that it's taking 40 hours for a 5 hour meeting, and then we say it's not working out.
Right.
I don't know how else to do it.
I can look at how everything's built right now. About the rates.
I just wish one of the people would call us back.
Kind of rough.
Yeah.
Perfect, thanks.
There's that.
I wish one of the real companies would call us back.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, the other thing is, if it's just a random person, are they gonna include all of our little chit chat? I mean, do they understand what it?
Yeah, you're
Sure,
gonna
there'd
have
be
to
an
go,
education process.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go through several iterations before you get your minutes the way you want them.
Yeah.
That's what has happened previously.
This isn't
We just
our
redline
first
the
round.
first one we get from the.
Okay.
Are we happy with the format of our current minutes to use as an example minutes?
Seems to work fine.
Yes.
And would you like me to post right away on Indeed or explore the current options of the calls that I have out? Hoping to find a company, and if we don't by a certain date.
Well, I
I
wouldn't
would say
mind.
yes, do it both.
And I do like Dylan's idea, cause I think that. I mean, those people are used to listening and doing that, and I think they would probably be pretty effective.
It's not a real exact overlap in skill sets.
I understand, but I mean, but they generally, it's what they do.
Right, yeah.
Well, there would be something for them to react to if anybody knows a court
A new
order,
business
they
line.
can, apply to whatever we put out. All right, on to legal. Do we have a general update?
You can give your general update, yes. You tasked me with researching questions of dedication and assignment of infrastructure and delaying that or avoiding that with the Fed Center property. I do not have an answer for you, but
Okay.
I have that. That's on the to-do list.
Okay.
Just as an update.
So that eliminates item C in executive session. To get your advice on the federal side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, on that specific issue.
Yes.
I guess if you have further questions about the environmental study, but I think that's not executive session. Let's go for it. Likewise, no specific update on the ravines proposal. I sent that to Lakewood City Attorney prior to the September board meeting. I sent that to the directors. And I have received no comments on the document itself from anyone. If there are questions, we can go into executive session on that if you'd like, but that's my update generally.
Yes, because we left that discussion unfinished from last time, so there is still more to finish on that.
Okay. And a general update on the Fossil Ridge matter. The hearing was held yesterday and today. We closed this afternoon with oral closings, and the judge has taken it under advisement and will issue a written ruling. He didn't provide a timeline for that, but said that he would like to do it expeditiously. So I think within a month, maybe a month.
I would also assume if it's expeditiously, he already has formed his opinion.
Well, he's new to this courtroom, so he may have a slightly lower docket.
Who is he?
Demand. It's Judge Ryan Lower. He's not new to the bench, but he's new to this courtroom. So I don't know. A month is just off the cuff, based on my experience. General update on the Big Sky litigation. You saw the documents that I sent out last week, I think. There was an agreement to extend the discovery deadline. That's primarily to achieve some additional depositions. I checked my emails today. That request was granted, and I have an order to send to you. It just says granted, discovery deadlines extended. And there were some additional disclosures exchanged among the parties, primarily on the issue of damages and property value. I have not talked to Mike Ogborn on that case lately, so there may be more substantive or privileged updates that you could get from him.
I did communicate with Mike. He was not able to be here. He said he would do a written summary. I have not gotten it. We were expecting some kind of public statement. We have not gotten it. I did send out a statement that he would be able to edit and give us a little bit more quickly. I did not get any of that. So we have nothing to talk about there because we have not gotten anything.
What does that mean? He's not being responsive with me. I mean, that scares the heck out of me.
When did you?
That's all I can tell you.
Send them that?
I sent him a statement asking if it would be okay to release to the public and asking for his edits the first week after the last meeting. Maybe 2 weeks ago, he responded that he didn't see that he sent anything, but he wondered if I got it. No, I didn't. So that was 2 weeks ago, we touched base on that. And then in this last week, I asked him if he would be available, and he said that he would send some written statement updating us. So in the last week.
Good for you, Dylan. I appreciate you sending us all those pleadings and filings and stuff like that. Just wanted to clarify that, like we gave you that dump the other day of 14 different cases. I didn't see any reason why any of them couldn't be given out to the public. Do you concur that there's nothing confidential in those filings?
The pleadings that I send you are public documents. There is no restriction on sending those. If I send you a document that is not that is privileged, I will specifically state that.
Okay, I didn't think it was privileged, but on the other hand, I'm cautious.
Sure, just the. I guess there's one additional possibility. It could be that there is a confidential document. It wouldn't occur in any of the circumstances that you're in, but if, for example, somebody's social security number was in there, I would, and for whatever reason it wasn't redacted, I would either redact that or I would tell you not to distribute it, but that's pretty unlikely.
Another question, I think I was trying to look up some of those documents on the court, and I thought the court was saying somehow that they were withheld or something like that.
There are 3 categories of documents. Correct. So the presumption is that a document filed with the court is public. And that's the vast majority. Some documents are filed under what the court characterizes as protected status.
Are any of these protected? And if so, why?
Well, court clerks have a checklist that they go through for determining whether a document is public, protected, or sealed. Sealed is child sexual assault pictures, social security numbers, bank account records, things that nobody should look at except the judge, basically. Protected is this big wide range of documents that have been submitted for the court's consideration previous to a trial, which have not yet been admitted into evidence, so they're protected. Or there's I don't know. It's a big long checklist, but protected is not really something that you need to be concerned about. So if I send you a document that's been filed, and I don't want you circulating it, I'll tell you.
Okay,
If I,
because you always have that disclaimer on the bottom.
yeah, my email, you know, the little, yeah, there's some just, there's considerable debate in the legal community whether that means anything or not, but.
Well, yeah, my first instinct is to help that, but on the other hand, I'm, careful.
Right,
So-
yeah, no, I will put in the subject line of my email, confidential, do not distribute, or something like that. If that's appropriate.
Okay, and those 14 that I was just looking at a couple days ago, they're open for public for. Because I remember they were all just like depositions and like, James's resume and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
It's like,
so those documents, yeah, if you choose to circulate them, you may.
that's what I assume, but. Better safe than sorry, right?
Sure, yeah.
Would you agree with me that very few of those documents stand alone in terms of context?
Yes.
Yeah, and kind of got to explain them if you're going to pass them out to people. It's a little snippet of one little thing.
Oh, I love the scheduling stuff. It's like, oh, can we do this tomorrow? Yeah, that'd be fine. And then that's a filing. Let's do another one. And on and on and on. So you have 15 documents and only 2 of them say anything. The other ones are just garbage, but it is what it is.
Hey, he makes a living at that garbage.
I make a living at that garbage. You can call it garbage if you want, as long as you sign the check.
We call you the garbage man.
It's fine, as long as you sign the check.
Not a treasure.
So that concludes general legal.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So then, do we have anything to discuss in executive session?
Yeah, is there more does anybody have any questions or, because we were in about Fossil Ridge, that was the next, you want to continue with that?
I can tell you, I can answer questions about the hearing. If I think that it is a question that should be answered in executive session, I'll tell you that. But I don't, other than expecting to get an order in a few weeks, I don't have any update there.
So would an opinion from you be allowable, like if I said, so since a lot of this was essentially what we kind of agreed to do previously, do you believe that the judge is going to allow them to have their apps? Which I thought legally.
I don't have I don't want to get into my statements previously about what I think likely outcomes would be.
Okay.
And I don't want to make a prediction about what I think the ruling is going to be.
Until we see it now.
Until we see it. I think I did well. I think that the judge was attentive and open to my arguments. And I think that he's also attentive and open to the reality that the perspective is Green Mountain is refusing to provide this service for no good reason. And how he approaches the question of whether he needs to right that wrong or not is going to be something that we find out.
Gotcha.
But I persist in my belief that my arguments about the law were correct.
Did you agree that the judge opened the door for them in a whole new area today on
He did invite some arguments that were not, that no one had raised previously, that he might choose to apply.
I assumed he was doing that based on prior experience.
I don't know. I don't know why he brought that up. I think maybe it just occurred to him in the middle of the hearing and wanted to get argument on it.
That was troubling.
Yeah, I agree. So that was.
I can't say anymore. We have to go into executive session and talk about that, I think.
Sure.
Well, let's go into executive session. Let's hear about it.
And I make a motion, we move into executive session for legal matters. To discuss the, is that the Fossil Ridge?
Yes.
To discuss the Fossil Ridge legal matter.
Director Hooks makes motion. Any second? Director Wendell seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous approval.
As the district's attorney, it is my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion going into executive session constitutes privileged attorney-client communication pursuant to CRS 246402 sub 4 sub B. We will be receiving specific legal advice on the conduct and outcome of the Fossil Ridge hearing. I am therefore recommending that no further record be kept until the executive session has been concluded. The time is now 8:11.
Time is now 8:31 and I have resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors and myself, general counsel for the district. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, the next agenda item is 10B.
I make a motion, we move into executive session to discuss the Ravine Bridge Agreement.
Second.
Director Hooks makes a motion, Director Garner seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
As the district's attorney, it is my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion to go into executive session constitutes privileged attorney-client communication. I am therefore recommending that no further record be kept until the executive session has been concluded. Time is now 8:33, and I am turning off the recording. The time is now 8:47. And I've resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors and myself, general counsel for the district. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matter is not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, the next agenda item is 11, any actions resulting from executive session.
Well, before we leave executive question, I think you say there's no point going in for Big Sky. I don't necessarily disagree, but I have two questions and maybe we can just deal with them now, or maybe they need to be executive session. So this is my question. Do we need to go? My first concern is, I was asking Ogborn, what's he going to be, arguing, and how obsessive I am about that. So, is there some way that we can get a draft of his motion that he's going to be making for summary judgment, a week before he actually does it?
I think that is a totally reasonable request. And I probably would be interested in seeing it myself.
Okay.
So yes, but that's going to be up to him.
Well, see, I was thinking about making a motion saying he's required to give us a written, heads up what he's going to do a week beforehand, rather than leaving us hanging.
Yeah.
But how obsessive I am. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I can reach out to him and ask him for that, or just talk to him about the case generally. But
yes. Well.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the second thing, when what's her name came in talking about the Fed Center, I was listening to the council meeting last night, and there was this whole new thing, and they were trying to get their hands around it. I don't think they were, and something came up that just occurred to me might be relevant to the Federal Center. And what they did last night was called a developer reimbursement plan. And it started off a month or two ago as being a metro district, for Indigo up here. And we discussed that was coming. And so Cardell came in and said, I want this metro district for Indigo. And people in our neighborhood said, well, you don't even have sewer from Green Mountain Water. You can't be doing this. So Cardell said, okay, never mind. And they just withdrew the whole metro district and went away. 2 weeks later, somebody comes back, I don't know who, and they're saying, oh, let's have this developer reimbursement plan. And it's like, what the heck is that? And there was a lot of talk about it at the meeting last night. And they were trying to describe it as developer number one will go ahead and pay for the infrastructure. But then if they somehow pass it on to developer number two, which I don't know what that is, but they called him the second connector was the word that they used. And so if they pass it on to the second connector, then they can charge the second connector part of the price of what they did the first time around. And I've been looking at it as I think it's a way of doing what they were doing in the Metro District was saying, whoever we sell to, the future owners of these houses, we can assess fees, I say it's taxes, but we can assess fees against them and they have to pay us. Now, they come back and say, yeah, but this is not a tax on the people. Well, it's not a tax on everybody, but it is an assessed fee upon those people in that project. Like we're all familiar with Solterra, and they said Solterra has to pay, all these fees. Well, no, it's not a tax on all of Lakewood, and so we shouldn't care. But people in Solterra really care, and so the question is, with a Metro District, is that what they're always trying to do? Is make these new owners pay the developer for all the infrastructure? And the sense is, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. But this time, it's not a Metro District. Now it's a developer reimbursement plan, and it's a second connector that's paying. And I'm wondering, is that some way of saying at the Denver Federal Center that if the developer does whatever in the Federal Center, then he in turn is going to charge the second connector, whoever that is, some sort of fees or whatever. No one seemed to, I don't know. No one seemed to have any idea what the hell they're talking about. Any idea what they're talking about?
No.
What they're talking about is the extra capacity that comes with development. So we have that agreement right now. And I'm going to tell you that I'm under new business going to say that on the next meeting, I will bring forward a motion to eliminate this from our rules and regs. For example, in St. Anthony's, and did I interrupt you? Were you going to expound?
Maybe, but let's see where you're going. I might agree.
St. Anthony's they built a lot of infrastructure.
Right.
They built what they needed. However, what they needed, it's like like we're doing with all the rest of the pipe capacity. If you upsize your pipe from 10 to 12 inches for 5 people, well, you have to for those 5, but you can also now serve a total of 10. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what they are asking the city to do, what they ask us to do is to stand in as an agent for their capacity that they paid for. So there's no public benefit per se, but for us, we have tap fees. So for St. Anthony's, the rebate was to give back. We wouldn't get the tap fees. St. Anthony's got the tap fees for 10 years. Anybody who would connect into that new infrastructure that St. Anthony's built. So St. Anthony's needed to do it anyway, but there absolutely was extra capacity.
Yes, I agree. I agree that what it sounds like is this rebate system, which is widely used for recovery. It's also cost recovery. Cost recovery by so developer number 1 establishes their development and upsizes some of the infrastructure, and then developer number 2 comes in and pays tap fees to Green Mountain, for example, passing through that oversized capacity. And as an incentive to developer 1 to actually do the oversizing sooner or bear a greater burden of cost or just to do it at all, the service provider has an agreement that developer number 2's tap fees will be paid to developer number 1 in such a way as to allow developer number 1 to recover the costs that they incurred to oversize their capacity, the capacity there. And it can go, it can be daisy chained. You get there's a third developer, they're paying number 1 too, and so on down the hypothetical line. So that's what that sounds
So they would be forcing us to do that?
I don't think that that's what's going on.
Okay.
We have the option to do rebates because it is our burden to take on. do we want to act as a broker
No,
for their capacity?
no.
So when I did a lot of research about this before, this is just a philosophical difference, right? So do you want to enable that cost recovery? You have to act as the agent. That pulls the accounting burden onto the district, and you have to keep track of all of that. A lot of the district managers I called people around the state when I first started, and they don't like it. They said it's 10 years of accounting. You have to figure out what's what, and then they argue about who's getting what. So for us,
It's a burden.
it's a burden. Again, it doesn't benefit the public. It may
So,
some
like, say if you had a
recovery.
motion, it would just exempt us from being within the calculation. It would force them to deal with each other.
No, but we have a rebate system on our books. So my motion next month will be to eliminate that part. And especially since it didn't make sense for us really before, it definitely doesn't make sense now that the city has put this rule in and now it's double. So who knows what's gonna go on with it? We don't need to have a
I
mess
like
up.
that motion. I like your idea.
Yeah, I like the way you're thinking.
So
Okay.
I was planning on doing that anyway, and you brought it up. In the city's case, they don't have, like, it's clear for us that we have whatever tax fee we have. So in this case, if they wanted to buy the extra capacity and they would pay the tap fee that we would normally get, but now they're giving it to St. Anthony's. I mean, they don't have that system set up for the city. So who knows what they're gonna charge for the sidewalk or the stormwater? We have no idea, but Sam, yeah.
It's generally utilized by districts that are looking to grow, but don't have the capital to build the infrastructure themselves.
Gotcha.
So they have the development up front, the cost of the infrastructure, and then pay them back
right
via the tap fees.
The benefit to the district being the ongoing service fees from that development, but also the dedication of the infrastructure to the district enhances the on the books value of the district.
Thank you for bringing it up. Dave, and I like you guys' idea. That's a good idea.
Sam, did you know about that before you got into tap fees?
Well,
A little bit vague.
Yeah, for sure. Knowledge of it, but
Sam is getting to be our resident expert.
Is there any possibility that income properties could create a fossil ridge?
Well, so one of the options, if you go down the road of not accepting the regional facilities constructed as part of the hypothetical federal center development, is that they might have to create their own district to own the infrastructure.
And that would be second party.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Lakewood's proposal other than the broad brushstrokes.
Have you ever heard that term, second connector?
No.
I believe there's a second connector clause from Solterra to Big Sky.
Okay, no motion being on. Is there anything else? Okay, I have some follow-up motions then from our executive. Excuse me. I'd like to make a motion, move to make the legal analysis that Jim Beckwith did regarding the ownership of the bridge public and release our privilege on that so that we can let people know what was going on there. It's a matter of transparency and it was of intense public interest.
Sure, why not?
Is that a second?
I'll second, yeah.
Director Wickman seconds. Any other discussion?
Attached to your motion?
A date?
Yes.
Oh, why
As
would
of
there
now.
be a date? She's just saying to allow it.
Dylan's gonna make a phone call tomorrow. I would prefer not to encumber him with the burden of, hey, we got this big piece of stuff we're gonna lay in front of you tomorrow.
I wasn't anticipating.
I don't think that just putting it out there is going to hamper me.
Okay, then I have no objection.
All in favor then?
Aye.
Aye, was that it? Aye or?
It's a nay.
I need to record your vote. Any nays? You and A. Okay. Unanimous approval then?
Yes,
All right.
reluctantly.
Yeah,
Do you want
you
that
gotta do an up or down.
put on the website or something, or you just?
Website would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have that? He sent it as a Word document if that matters.
I am not sure what you're discussing.
Okay, I'll save it as a PDF and put it together with the exhibits and send it to you.
You're talking about the big three ring
Yes.
binder?
Actually, I don't know to a certainty that I have all of the exhibits still. Could you put together the packet? Okay,
The PDF.
yeah, and as a PDF.
Okay.
I
Should I
prefer,
have it someplace?
I prefer not to have privileged things floating around, but if they are out there, I really prefer that they not be in editable format.
Well, if I understand the conversation we just had, that 3-ring binder that you gave me, I can now share with people.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, can I back up just one little bit? Are you saying that people would be apt to take it and change stuff in it?
Word
document.
Well, that's
I
fine.
understand Word, but I don't know, like with my software, I can take PDFs and turn it into Word like that.
Yeah, that's.
I can put a lock on it. That's about as good as I can do.
And you can.
You can't trace those.
Okay.
We can take the steps within Adobe to protect it from what you can. There's no way to stop it.
By the way, you do that all the time, and
Yeah.
that's an inconvenience to me.
That's Doug, you gotta take that up with that.
Totally.
So go on.
I have one more then. I would also like to, I move to make the current draft of our agreement, since it is sounding like that is done. And we should be having public notice of what we are contemplating and negotiating with Lakewood.
The current draft of the Ravine proposal.
Yes.
Is that okay for that to be public knowledge? Do you think that would upset them or?
It's a draft. We can, and that doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I guess the other thing that does is that kind of puts the monkey a little bit on Lakewood's back if people know it's out there and they're not signing it.
So I move to make that draft agreement public. Any second?
I will second it.
Director Hook second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There, unanimous approval. Thank you very much. Anybody else have thoughts?
Would anybody want to make any general comments about emails or comments we received from the public on litigation as to us being unaware of consequences of decisions we may have made or appear to have made based on their reading of filings?
Referring to Alex.
I'm referring to all of those who commented. The assumption is on the part of some that we don't recognize what we're doing, that we're backtracking and that we're headed in the wrong direction because they don't know what we're doing. When in simple fact, we recognize that if we tell the public our legal strategy, we're telling our opposition counsel our legal strategy.
Okay, I'm just thinking the only email I got was from Alex, but I don't know.
It suits others.
I've had a number of others.
I prefer not to be commenting about the legal until, and that's why I asked if somebody legally minded could approve a
already
comment.
put it to the record just now what I wanted to,
Very
how I
good.
wanted to respond. That's adequate.
Excellent. Anything else? We can move on to new business. All right. Does anybody have new business to discuss? All right, like I said, I was thinking about bringing up that motion. Next time I'm letting you know, I will just write a summary and have that motion ready for the next time on the reimbursement agreements. It is nice to have your background, Sam. Thank you for, maybe there was a time for that and don't know if it's totally necessary anymore. I'm also going to plan on writing a column for our next newsletter that goes out, letting you know there's digital space available, so anybody else wants to do that, that's what I would like to do, that is available. That's all I have.
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Unanimous, let's go. Thank you all very much.
Like 3 hours, it's not bad.
Not bad. But we did schedule ourselves to